Tampa is known for its endless things to do, and today I have the one and only Kristen Hare, author of the book 100 Things to Do in Tampa Bay Before You Die, to help me create the ultimate things to do video just for you. If you're visiting Tampa for the first time, or maybe you already live here, the list will be perfect for tourists and locals alike looking to experience the best Tampa Bay has to offer. So stay tuned. Now folks, grab some popcorn and enjoy this video, but make sure to stick around to the end because I'm gonna put Kristen on the spot and ask for something special. I wanna know her perfect 24-hour itinerary for experiencing Tampa Bay. So Kristen, thank you for meeting me here at the Tampa Riverwalk. This is easily one of my favorite videos to shoot because I truly feel that Tampa Bay is my playground. And just being born and raised here, it feels like I can add a ton to your list. So I think we're gonna really have fun with this one today. So Kristen, I have to tell you, I'm a bit of a foodie at heart. You know, my family has owned a restaurant here in Tampa for over 50 years. That being said, I'm ecstatic that the food scene here is just absolutely exploding. Yeah. I mean, between the Michelin Guide and all these other new restaurants popping up, it's like there's something to look forward to every other weekend, something new to explore. So let's start right there. You know, Tampa was recently named one of the top foodie cities in the country. And what would you say to, start off our list? What's one of the top restaurants that you would suggest to folks looking to visit or looking to explore?
Right, and this title is something that we so deserve because our food here is so good.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think maybe the most obvious one is Ulele down on the other side of the Riverwalk from where we are. Fantastic food, gorgeous views. It's a really cool experience. I also love every location of the Columbia, which is a classic, and I think locals will think, well, I've been to I've been to the Columbia, I know what that's like. We're standing outside my favorite version of the Columbia, which is right outside the Tampa Bay History Center on the Riverwalk. You get to eat outside. I also love the one in Clearwater where you can look out at the ocean. Just fabulous food that has been classic for generations and continues to, I think, wow us in Tampa Bay. Those are places I really love.
Yeah, I mean, the Columbia is a staple, and Ulele is part of that family of restaurants, right? Goody Goody Ulele. It's just all, and it's all part of that family, and they are very well branded. Like, you know that when you go to one of those restaurants, you're gonna have a great experience, right? And you nailed it on the head with Ulele because of the ambiance there. Right on the river. I love happy hour, spicy margarita for folks if you wanna try something, that's a really good one there. Yeah. Now, those are some staples in Tampa. Let's really bring it down a notch because I feel it's always important to show the staples, the things you have to do, and then also like those hidden gems or smaller pockets. And part of Tampa's charm is not just its big attractions or big venues, but also some of the smaller, older ones that have some tradition. So do you know any off the top of your head, like those smaller cafes? To me, the Latin cafes. Yeah. Do you know any of those that you've tried?
A lot of them, and this really, I think, helps the neighborhoods of Tampa shine. So a favorite for me is West Tampa Sandwich Shop. Yep. I love the sandwich they named after former President Obama. It's a Cuban with honey.
With honey, the honey Cuban,
It's so good, and an absolute favorite. And also, La Segunda Bakery is fantastic for the tarts and the fresh bread. They even sell candles that smell like the bread that they make.
I didn't know that. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, La Segunda goes really deep in my family coming from the restaurant business because they're the ones that really started, or like they're the staple Cuban bread. Like a lot of restaurants will carry their product, but now with the South Tampa location, you can go in there and sit cafe style. Yep. And you can, have your Wi-Fi, you can relax and have a meeting versus the old Ybor one, the original. Yeah. You don't have that cafe. So yes, La Segunda, it's definitely there. And I'm gonna mention that again at the end of the video, so make sure you stick around for that part. But since we're on the topic of West Tampa cafes or sandwich shops, I have to say Los Gringos is one that flies under the radar. People have seen it in my other videos, but Mayito or Mario is a staple because he used to have La Ideal restaurant. Then he closed that one down or sold it. Opened up another one, Aguila's, and now Los Gringos. And if you go in there, he's a character, and you'll know, oh, I'm at one of these shops. And you'll see the old timers, like lawyers, judges, doctors, charter boat captains. Those guys meet every morning for coffee, and that's the tradition, that feel of your city, right? Yeah. So next up, let's kick it back up to one of those staples, though. You mentioned Bern's, right? So tell us a little bit about Bern's. Why it was in your book.
Yeah, Bern's is a favorite, and I have to tell you, Adam, I did not include Bern's in the first edition of my book, and I got no shortage of grief about it from locals. I have corrected that since, and love going there. It's a really special and interesting place, not just because of the food, but the story of it, the tour, the wine cellar, you get to see the kitchen, and it is a place that has such deep roots in Tampa. My favorite thing to do at Bern's, though, is actually to go up to the dessert room, and you sit, if you're lucky, in these old wine barrels.
Like speakeasy style.
Yeah,
yes.
And they have, you know, the old recipes are all over the walls, and there's a little intercom, and you can actually call the kitchen, and they will answer, which was fun, and the food is phenomenal.
And the telephone on the wall. I recently took my daughters to Bern's dessert room, and, you know, they're like, why is there a phone on the wall, which is connected, right, the old cord?
Yeah.
And they said, well, you could pick that up and you could request a song with the piano player, right? And she says, does he know Taylor Swift? And I was like, I don't know, ask. And sure enough, he did.
Of course he
So
knows
he played
Taylor
her a
Swift.
Taylor Swift song. It was so sweet.
Amazing.
But little secret there, got to have tips, right? With Bern Steakhouse, one of the rules that they have is that they reserve a certain amount of reservations for the dessert room.
Yeah.
So it's for their patrons that are actually there. So if you go in and you don't have a reservation, it's worth a shot, but go downstairs to the bar, order a glass of wine or a coffee or something. Now you're a paying patron, and they can call you up a reservation and send you up to the dessert room. So little local tip
Good
there.
tip.
Yes. So with all these restaurants, right, we talked about cafes, we talked about some of the staples like Ulele in Columbia, now Bern Steakhouse. The Michelin Guide is one that I think is newer to our city, right? Not in your book yet, maybe in the future.
Yes, for sure.
Maybe the next edition. But the Michelin Guide, we had 24 restaurants on there as of last year, 2023, with 3 Michelin star restaurants. Yeah. Now, they just came in April in 2024, and we have up to 30 restaurants. So
Fabulous.
the Michelin Guide is just a fun one. If you can't choose what to do, just scan that, and it's a really good restaurant guide here for foodies. And, you know, my wife and I had kind of on a mission here. We made it like hey, we got to knock all these off in the next year. So we're chipping away at that right now. Absolutely. So
smart goal.
Oxford Exchange was in your book, though.
Always in my book. Oxford has been a wonderful partner to me. The bookstore is fabulous.
Yes.
The shop itself is fantastic and always evolving. And what I love about Oxford is that just the history of this place. It was the carriage house of the Tampa Bay Hotel now. The
old historic
UT,
building.
Right. And it's a really cool space that they've used adaptive reuse. And the restaurant is so good.
I know.
If you can book brunch there, book it early. Always worth it. The food is fabulous, and it's like so Instagrammable. It's just a really great experience.
Coffee bar, tea bar, champagne bar.
The champagne bar was a really good addition.
Yes, yes. So absolutely phenomenal food. I haven't had a bad meal there, especially brunch. So excellent, suggestion there. Now, those are all like let's get dressed up and let's kick it down. Let's go Florida casual.
Yeah.
I was in Clearwater Beach the other day, and we were shooting, a film there, just highlighting the beaches, and I couldn't help but pop into Frenchy's.
Yeah.
Had to have a grouper sandwich.
Yep.
I'm gonna tell you, I got married right outside of Frenchy's on the beach.
Yeah.
And you're talking about Instagrammable,
Yeah.
right? You can absolutely take photos there, and just while you're eating, right, your grouper sandwich and your cold beer, you're on the beach.
Yeah.
Doesn't get much better than that.
No, Frenchy's is such a classic and so fun to visit. There's now locations all over Tampa Bay. They even have a Frenchy's themed hotel where you can order room service and get your grouper sandwich in your room.
Oh.
I mean, it's the full
Yes.
tourist Frenchy's experience combined.
All right, so if somebody was visiting Tampa and really wanted to experience some of our top attractions, I want to talk about that, but I'm going to say, the first 3 that come to mind is Busch Gardens, the Aquarium, and the Tampa Zoo.
Yeah.
All 3 have had recent renovations, but there's one that really stands out. So let's start with, I guess, Busch Gardens, right?
Yeah.
What's your feeling?
Well, you have little kids. I have teenagers.
Yes.
And so Busch Gardens is a favorite for my teenagers because they love the roller coasters.
Yes.
They're fabulous, especially during the winter months, but even the summer months, they always have a really good time.
Yep.
The aquarium has been a home for my family since we moved here from Missouri in 2012, and a place where we could get up close to the sea life without having to leave the air conditioning, or jump in the water. And the Tampa Zoo is, I think, such a cool place to interact with our wildlife. My favorite thing there is the manatees. I don't know what you love there, but the manatees is my favorite thing there.
Yeah. So, growing up in Florida, because I'm born and raised here, right? I grew up seeing diving and snorkeling and all that. So seeing another tropical fish, it's like, oh, that's a tropical fish. Or an alligator, it's like, oh, an alligator, right? So for us, I like the aquarium. I do like that both of these, right? Busch Gardens is having a new expansion with a new roller coaster coming in summer of 2024. And then the aquarium now has a new extension as well. So, I think it's Puffins, right? So both of those are amazing and much needed. You can never have nobody ever complains about the new attractions, right? But the Tampa Zoo, that has hit it on the head for both my daughters and for families that I have that are relocating with us, right? I always ask them, what's your favorite? And they're like, the zoo is awesome. So much so that we got annual passes. And these are adults without kids even. So what I like about the zoo, and they actually are also having an expansion. It's the Australia section as well as a new water park, which is nice to cool off in the summer. But what I love about all three of these is that you don't have to go to Orlando for theme parks. Like, I mean, yes, if you want Disney, but if you want roller coasters and African safari, Florida ecosystems, or you want the zoo, I mean, those three are absolutely amazing, right? So we have that, but we also have sports.
All the sports.
Yes. Living in a city where professional sports and spring training and, I mean, you name it, minor leagues, we have pretty much all the sports here. So the Bucks are good, but it's hot.
Yeah.
What are your favorite sports to visit when you go to watch a game or if you go to games?
So we really like going to see the Rays. I particularly like being indoors. It's always fun. And I look forward to whatever they're going to do next with their stadium. Hope it stays local. And seeing the Lightning is really, I love it. I think hockey is super interesting. And also the lightning that actually comes down.
Yeah, the lightning bolt.
The actual bolt that comes down.
Yes.
It just a super special, very Tampa thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Of the two, I will say with kids, specifically, the Rays has more interaction. You can go pet the Stingrays in center field. They like the Dippin' Dots. They have the 7th inning stretch. It's just always very interactive for kids. The Lightning games, my kids love those as well because of the energy, the electricity. But I would say out of the two, I personally would leave the kids at home for the Lightning games because I like Waterstreet and all of downtown, and I like to, being right there at the Amalie Arena, now we could walk across the street and pregame as adults. Can't really enjoy that as the kid. Since I mentioned Amalie Arena, though, we have amazing concert venues and shows, right? So, talk to me about the Amalie.
So I have been lucky. I get to take my kids to see different concerts. Got to see Harry Styles at Amalie. Got to see Lizzo at Amalie. It is such a phenomenal spot to see shows, and it's really cool to live in a place where major artists are coming and performing.
Yeah, I just saw this somewhere that it said the Amalie Arena was one of the most or the highest ticket sales for not only sports but all events. Like one of those in the country. So they definitely keep their calendar packed. Now moving over to the Straz Center, moving down the Riverwalk, if you follow it right, that's a different kind of show, right? So we get Broadway shows. I know my wife dragged me to Pretty Woman. But I just had a client from Chicago that told me, hey, they were here, they just got settled into their new home, and they loved Miss Doubtfire. So he says, something different. We have Broadway-style shows, Cirque du Soleil, those kind of things are coming. I think Kevin Hart's coming here in a week. So
it's a gorgeous venue. We got season tickets last year and took our kids to see the Broadway series. Planning on going and seeing Clue later this summer. And we're lucky to we don't have to cross any bridges in Tampa to see Broadway level art. It's fabulous.
Correct. And all of this is on the Tampa Riverwalk, right? Which arguably is the biggest and best attraction or development that has happened to Tampa in the last probably 50 years, right? It was in the makings, I don't know if you know this, in the 70s. And then finally kind of came together with funding where it just connects all of our attractions, hotels, entertainments, parks, you name it, all with a little history lesson, right? So starting there, Armature Works at the Northern Anchor, works your way down into Curtis Hickson Park, the Convention Center and the Sail Pavilion, works your way around to where we're standing right now, which is that Waterstreet district. What are your thoughts on the Tampa Riverwalk? Would you ever suggest that to somebody?
I always suggest it to people. It's number one because it's so easy to do whether you have kids or not, and you can pick your experience. So like you said, it's anchored by Armature Works and Sparkman. There's a giant playground in the middle with Curtis Hickson. There's water features. There's restrooms everywhere.
You can rent your own e-boat.
Yes, that's one of my favorite things to do that locals always forget about and tourists always do. My motto is don't let the tourists have all the fun. And so get down here and
Pretend
park
you're a
your
tourist.
car, and go from one end. You can eat and drink and play your way from one end to the next. It's such a cool thing to do.
Yep. Now, as you move your way down to the southern section, right, towards Sparkman's Wharf, you just mentioned, the new development on Waterstreet. My wife and I were walking hand in hand down here the other night, 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night. We're in our technical downtown.
Yeah.
And we felt, first off, safe, which that's relevant. Safety is different for each person, but we felt safe 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
And we felt like we were in a new city.
So cool. I love what they're doing.
All brand new. Those Michelin star restaurants I was talking about, the bars, we had no set plan.
Yeah.
Just hopping in and out. And it was still, to this day, one of our favorite nights.
It's really cool to, in the decade plus that I've been here, to watch downtown Tampa and that area in particular go from a nothing to a something.
Yes.
And to see locals and tourists embrace it.
Yep. Now, some of those new developments to look forward to, right? Because our city is kind of turning into this metropolitan city, right? Is right off of Sparkman's Wharf, they're going to have the Gasworks development. Again, another walkable area. I saw, I saw kind of drawings that they're going to have their own private street with no traffic to get in and out. The trolley, the free trolley we have, is going to connect there. Yeah. Then moving forward, we're going to have the Ybor Harbor. So essentially, they're trying to get our historic Ybor area to now connect into this Waterstreet Riverwalk. And then when you add on the expansion to the Riverwalk, downtown area is going to be spectacular.
I'm going to have to write 3 more editions of my book.
Yes. Look out for more of her books because they're going to fill us in on more of these things. Now, even though I'm just gushing about Tampa's downtown, I have to say we're still a few steps behind St. Pete's downtown. Yeah. And I know that you love St. Pete. So tell me why you love that.
There's so many cool things to do in St. Pete, from the street art, which you can tour, gorgeous murals up all over, which gets celebrated every year with the Shine Mural Festival, to the new pier, which is fantastic. It has been, I think, a big hit. I love the restaurant up at the top, the rooftop restaurant. I always send people there. Easy to get to and from. There's fantastic local shopping and more good little hidden local restaurants that you can explore. So
how about catching a sunset at the Canopy rooftop bar at the Birchwood?
Can't go wrong.
That's an amazing view. Yep. And the one tip I would say, if you were here maybe 24 hours, 48 hours, you just say, hey, I want to explore St. Pete downtown, but I don't have a ton of time. Jump on the trolley. Yep. And probably within a couple hours, they're going to fill you in and you're going to see everything. Yeah. And it's set up like a hop on, hop off, and it's free. Yeah. So that's the best way to just kind of cliff note downtown St. Pete, right?
Perfect.
All right, so switching gears one more time. This one might be for the locals. However, visitors that are wanting something, other than big box attractions, I think this might stand out as well. First things I'll say is, if you're in the summer, you want to cool off, you don't know where to go to grab a nice pool, I always say grab a hotel day pass because there's tons of them all around Tampa Bay.
Yeah, one of my favorites is to go to the Don Cesar and, our gorgeous pink sandcastle, birthday cake, whatever you want to call it, on the beach in St. Pete. And you can get a day pass and spend the day at their pool, order food at their restaurant, and be fancy for a day.
Yes, absolutely. So I would absolutely say there's a list. If you Google it, there is a list of places. Right here in Tampa, I like the Marriott Waterstreet right on the Riverwalk if you want to stay local. The Don, the Vinoy. There's easily 20 different hotels that you can grab a quick day pass. Yep. And, why not, splurge a little bit, like you say, go to the Don. Yeah. So next up, while we're over there, people don't really know this, but there's over 100 breweries in the Tampa Bay area. Sometimes they fly under the radar, right? I'd say that people know things like Cigar City Brewery and some of those, but what would you say is one of your favorites on the list?
Okay, my favorite, and I bet you've never been there, is Levin in Riverview. So it is my local, and it has been around almost as long as I've been writing books. Okay. Really good local beers run by a sweet local couple with a darling baby. Yeah. A favorite. Also, I love Green Bench in St. Pete. Yep. That is another classic, and their beers are fantastic.
Yeah. I recently just did like a little staycation, 24 hours in Dunedin with my wife, and they have about 9 local breweries. Yes. And so we just kind of hopped in and out of Dunedin Brewery and a few of those. I'm not going to lie, this is a boring one, but I would say Florida Ave Brewery has a brown ale that I really like. It used to be the vanilla Maduro from Cigar City, but that's seasonal, so I can't count on that. And then I'd say Coppertail. Coppertail's a fun one.
Always good.
Yes. Now, beers. You want a cold one, you're out at the beaches. You want the biggest hidden gem ever. I saw it in your first edition, Mahuffers.
Mahuffers is this very divey bar.
Very divey.
There's bras hanging from the ceiling,
Yes.
and there's a full boat that you can go and sit in, and take your sense of adventure and your sense of humor, and you will get a good, cheap, cold beer and have a fantastic experience.
Yes, I mean, I think it's definitely a beach locals bar.
For sure.
Most people walk in and go, what happened here? It looks like a garage sale exploded.
Yes.
With like old, I think I was sitting on a truck bench that had the material removed, and I was sitting on the old cushion.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And I definitely had a cat crawl over my beer. So I was questioning, should I stay here and how long? But the people watching was amazing.
Fabulous.
So Mahuffers, if you're ever down by the beach,
Yep.
just try it in the evening. You might be surprised, and you'll definitely have a good laugh, right?
Yep.
Now, also down by the beach is one of our biggest, I guess, attractions or things that really stand out. And if you've ever driven over it, you know what I'm talking about?
Right, the Skyway Bridge.
The Skyway Bridge.
Yeah. And most people don't know that you can actually get out of your car and be on the Skyway Bridge every year at the Skyway 10K. I did it with my husband a couple of years ago. It was a total bucket list experience, and I'm really glad I did it.
Yeah, I learned that, and that's what I've been here my entire life. I just learned that there's a 10K that you could run over.
Yeah.
I probably can't convince my wife to do it with me, but now I have to do it.
You have to do it.
But what I have experienced is at the Skyway, if you're ever fishing, right? You want a bridge fishing experience. You don't really want to get in the water.
Yeah.
It is the world's longest fishing pier.
Yep.
So, and you can park there, have your snacks, and then just throw your pole out,
Yeah,
right?
it's a fantastic thing to do.
And awesome fishing too.
Yes, fantastic.
Absolutely. For visitors and locals alike, there is nothing better than our event calendar. I mean, what would you say is an absolute must experience here in Tampa?
For Tampa, for sure, the Gasparilla Festival, and my favorite is the Children's Parade.
Yep.
It's the same as the Gasparilla Festival, but the PG version, so you get
Yes.
the
No
beads
alcohol.
and the fun, and you might have alcohol, but it's not going to be as racy as the adult one, which is also super fun. But who else has a pirate festival as a kind of our Mardi Gras? It's a fantastic thing to do, and a lot of fun with kids and families.
Yeah, and it's hard to just narrow it down to the Gasparilla Parade, right? Gasparilla in Tampa is an entire season, right? The Arts Festival, the Film Festival, the 5K, 10K, or is it 5K half marathon run. Then they have the Music Fest, which was really cool. I got to meet Sons of Anarchy, the entire cast down there, and they put different movies, indie films and stuff all in the different movie theaters.
Yeah.
So Gasparilla is absolutely a season here, and if you are a local, you can't hide from Gasparilla. Everybody has crossbones and pirate themes, wreaths on their houses. Like it just kind of takes over, right? But I always say check our calendar. One of my favorite events is the Pig Jig.
Yeah.
Down at Curtis Hickson, or they had it at Julian B. Lane. They always have like a headliner, but it's somehow they mix in like 10 hours of concerts with a headliner mixed with, barbecue festival, right?
Yeah.
You can walk down the pits and you can sample or watch the barbecue contest, so pork butts and everything else. And I mean, it's just, honestly, it's a great day on the Riverwalk, so I love that.
Super fun.
Do you have any favorite festivals?
I also really love both of the Sandcastle festivals.
Down in Clearwater?
That happen. There's one in St. Pete on Treasure Island. I think that's Standing Ovations, and the other one in Clearwater. They happen near each other, but like gorgeous sculptures that these artists have made out of sand, and always a really fun day to go explore them.
Yeah, I mean, you don't even have to be into art or any of that stuff. You watch it, you're like, how do they make that?
How do they make that out of sand?
And they come from all around the world, right, to make these. So it's not just your typical little sandcastle, right?
Yeah.
I like a good time. So Margarita Festival, Strawberry Festival, which is more for the agricultural stuff, but over history, it's just come into this awesome thing. And I won't dive into this one, but I know that in your book you had Parksdale Farms.
Oh yeah.
So if you go to Plant City and it's not the Strawberry Festival, stop by Parksdale Farms because it's the best strawberry milkshake you'll probably ever have.
So good.
Right? So Sunset Music Fest, Rock the Park is a free concert if you're in town. And you already mentioned the Sugar Sand Festival.
Yeah.
But I always tell people, check out our calendars because the events are always happening.
Every single weekend there is something to do.
Yeah. And they don't always cost. A lot of times they're the free things to do.
Right.
So I'm not much of a shopaholic, but whenever I'm visiting a new city, I do like to pop into like those quaint little towns, especially the ones that have like those shops or general stores or whatever that is. Here, Tampa's a bigger city, bigger metro. And we do have those big shopping malls, but I always send people to the local spots, right? And I always have to suggest Hyde Park Village.
Yeah, it's a special place. There's great shopping. You're going to find a lot of the things you would find at malls, but also lots of really great local restaurants. I have two more favorites for Tampa. One is Schiller's Salvage, which is downtown. And I like to say that if Chip and Joanna Gaines from Fixer Upper were in Tampa, this is where they would go source all their really cool materials. And I love all of the vintage stores and all the new ones in Seminole Heights.
Yes, Seminole Heights has some nice, I always like to say artsy or funky or whatever. I just love the vibe there. Absolutely. And I'm not allowed to show my wife this video because now she's going to go shopping at those places. One thing that I did see in one of your books was, Little Italy in Venice, right? And we're not talking Venice, Italy. We're talking to go a little bit south of Tampa. Right. So talk to me about Little Italy. I've been there, but truth be told, I never went shopping there. I didn't have that experience. So what's that like?
So with this last edition, I got really interested in day trips.
Yeah.
And Venice was one of them. I'd been there many times to the beach. I'd never gone into the downtown. And there's, fresh, authentic pizza and gelato and lots of really cool different shops, all kinds, something for everybody. It's a fun way to spend a day. You go up one end and down the other.
Yep. And when you experience Little Italy in Venice, right? Or Venice. We're going to talk about this in the next section. There's something else to do in Venice that people are going to love.
Love it.
So summer's in Tampa. Things really start to heat up, right? We're getting there right now, which is why we're in the shade. But I always try to find a reprieve from the heat, right? And so I always say that summer is kind of our museum season, right? With my kids. When we're not in the pool on the weekends, we're looking for something fun to do indoors with AC, right? And so, what are some of the suggested museums that people with kids or without kids, they have to experience?
So Glazer is a perfect place if you have little kids. And I like to say that it feels like it's a place that master preschool teachers designed. A wonderful place to spend a day. If your kids are a little older, MOSI over by USF is a great science museum. A fun place to explore. You can go right down the street from where we are now. The Tampa History Center is wonderful and has really interesting exhibits about our first people. And I love in St. Pete both the Chihuly and the Dali. The Dali is a fantastic place to spend a day. You can take the tour, you can go into the Avant Garden. There's a great restaurant there, and it's shaped in such a cool way. It will definitely make your photos.
Yeah, absolutely. And they always have different exhibits. I know at the Glazers, my kids got to make paper airplanes and launch them, and the little one got to do the Publix experience, right, with the shopping cart. MOSI, there's tons, right? And then Chihuly. Chihuly is the one that I think catches people off guard because I'm not the artsy person. I'm not the person to look at something and go, wow, but you can't help it. It's just blown glass. But when you're there, the colors and the designs, and it just pops. And then last, you said the History Museum. Again, I just wasn't a big history museum person. And then one time they had an event or an exhibit that was all of the Florida coast treasures. And my daughter went just insane. She's like, we have to go see it. They have real gold, real pirate stuff. And they were real, art for her.
They're all a really cool way to get to know Tampa. And here's a pro tip. I don't know if you knew this, but every September is Smithsonian Museum Day. And you sign up online and you pick which of the museums you want to go to, and you'll get a free pass. And that's a great way to sample different museums and decide where you want to become a member and then spend the next year exploring.
Oh, that's a great tip I did not know, so thank you. So earlier when we mentioned Little Italy in Venice, I told you I'd circle back to this. The reason I went there in Venice, and I didn't experience that, Italy feel, I went there specifically because it was the shark teeth capital of the world. And my kids wanted to find shark teeth, right? Shark teeth hunting. So we went there, and specifically you go to like the Casperson Beach and you got to find the jetty, and then you can rent these little baskets, right? And so you rent the little baskets and you sift through the shells, and all the dredging that happens, it pushes up the shark teeth off of hundreds or thousands or millions of years, and they come up shore, and we found 41 shark teeth in an hour.
Cool.
It was nuts with 2 kids. And once they find the first one, they're hooked, and they don't want to leave. So another great, fun, free thing to do, go shark teeth hunting.
And you can take your pasta strainers.
Yes.
Instead of renting them, take your pasta strainers or buy some at the dollar store. And you can do it completely for free.
We did. We had one of their like plastic sand sifters, and we actually used that. So she's right. You don't have to go rent them, but if you don't have that, rent them, or just go to Walmart and you can figure something out, right? Down the road from there, right, outside of Tampa, but one of our favorite beaches. Most people think St. Pete Beach, Clearwater Beach, or everything in between. I also, have to remind people, hey guys, just south of us, we have Siesta Key, Longboat Key, Anna Maria Island.
Yeah.
My favorite to get a stay at Anna Maria Island.
Favorite.
And then I can't give away all the tricks, but I will tell you, you get your golf cart and you can find parking.
Yep.
You have to be tricky with it and you have to ask maybe the locals, but you can park as close as possible to Bean Point. And there's little access points between the residents' homes that give you access to the beach. And you will be on a beach all by yourself and you'll feel like you're in the Caribbean.
It's shaded, just gorgeous views. You can kind of look around the corner and see the Rod and the Reel Pier. It's a perfect place. It's my family's favorite.
Now, you mentioned something in your book that's fun with kids.
Yeah. So there is a shop on the main street there, and you can go and paint sand dollars, and they will spray them with a sparkle spray and put a ribbon through it, and my whole Christmas tree is decorated every year with those. That's at the Shiny Fish Emporium on Anna Maria Island.
And you can, you know, if your kids give you any pushback, like, I don't want to do that, you know what you could bribe them with?
What?
They have a donut place right around the corner where you can put your own toppings on your donut and the kids go nuts, right? Every topping you can think of and you can make your own little donut.
It's a pro move.
Have fun at Anna Maria Island, but I'm going to circle back to another place. I mentioned earlier Dunedin that my wife and I went to the breweries and we just spent 24 hours staycation. I have to tell you, a friend gave me this tip and so we decided to do it, was go to the Fenway Hotel. It's a historic hotel overlooking the water, has a beautiful hotel, has a nice pool, rooftop bar. Then we went and we rented bikes because they have an old railroad track, right, that they converted to the Pinellas Bayway a trail. And so a lot of locals will ride that trail into the main street downtown, which is lined with, like, think old Florida. So you have old Florida, slow-paced vibe, bars, restaurants, you know, really cool local shops. And it's just a really, really nice time. And then the local tip, at night, there's a strip right off the back of the Fenway with the Dunedin chandeliers.
It's so pretty.
All the locals hang chandeliers in their yards and they light them up at night. And you're like, man, it's not Christmas, but this is really neat.
It's a really quirky, neat tradition.
Absolutely. Now, that's my version of Dunedin. You mentioned, you know, day trips. If you had to throw out maybe 1 or 2 day trips for folks, just to add to this list, what would you say?
So 2 favorite day trips that get you to water, but different kinds of water. One is up to Tarpon Springs. And that is, like, we talked about Little Italy with Venice. This is Little Greece. And the food is fabulous. You get to learn the history of the sponge docks. You can take a boat tour. That's fantastic shopping. It really is. You do not even have to get on a plane and you feel like you're in another country. And the other is Weeki Wachee. I think everyone probably has heard of the mermaids there. They're worth visiting. It is a really cool experience, but also just getting in a kayak or in a boat and getting out on those gorgeous clear water. You'll see manatees, you'll see lots of fish and wildlife, and it is another really beautiful part of Florida.
And, you know, local tip, again, we're always trying to give those tips if you're going to experience it. Launch from upstream and go down, because so many, and you can just float your way through a couple hours versus so many people I see paddling against the current. And it's like, man, that's not a fun day. That's a stressful day.
Working too hard.
Pack your lunch and then stop over on the little beachy, you know, areas and have your lunch, and that just makes for an amazing Florida day, right? All right, so Kristen, earlier I kind of snuck away and I promised the folks that I would ask you what your perfect 24-hour itinerary is. Now, I've had friends just like the Dunedin one, they suggested it to me and I went and experienced it. You know, I created my own, but I just really want to hear from you because visitors or locals will benefit from this. So what would you tell them?
I love this. All right, I'm going to go to St. Pete.
Okay.
So you're going to start early in the morning on Paso Grill Beach at the Seahorse Cafe. I recommend the shrimp and grits and a Bloody Mary or a mimosa.
Got to start it off with that.
Get there early because there will be a line around the block. It's a really great place that's been there forever. And then you're going to just walk down the road and head over to Paso Grill and set up your chairs, and you're going to spend a lovely morning hunting for shells and relaxing in the beach.
And you can park right there on the strip.
Park right there. And if you are getting antsy, you want to walk down 7th Avenue, which is a tiny little street. There's some good shopping there to buy your souvenirs. Then I recommend that you get packed up and head into downtown St. Pete, park and do lunch and a tour at the Dali to cool down a little bit. It's a nice way to spend the afternoon. Get cleaned up, and then you're going to go do appetizers and drinks at the Vinoy. Sit on the beautiful pink porch. It is very lovely. and then go back over to St. Pete Beach to Treasure Island, to Spinner's Restaurant. This is the rotating restaurant at the top of the Bellwether, and you'll get to have a gorgeous meal while you watch the sunset across Tampa Bay.
And that's a great view too.
It's lovely.
All right, mine's a little bit more aggressive.
I can't wait to hear it.
She went to St. Pete, so I'm gonna go ahead and give you one that I've actually experienced and I've done in Tampa, okay? My morning started with chartering a fishing boat. I said, let's get out on the water.
Nice.
Right? You're coming to Tampa, I always think of water or beach. So you could easily go with a more relaxing one, maybe the Don Cesar Pass that you suggested, right? Or Paso Grill, it's one of my favorite beaches. But I'm gonna say charter a boat. You're gonna take the boat out, let's call it 8 a.m., 7, 8 a.m. And inshore fish, you're talking trout, snapper, redfish, snook. And you're gonna charter the boat, you're gonna fish, and you'll probably be done fishing by 11, 12. And I would say, hey, Captain, let's go ahead and head over to one of the spoil islands or one of the sandbars that we have in the bay. Nice. And let's cook our fish, because there's nothing better than a fresh catch. And I've actually done this.
Yeah.
And we bring it ahead of time, fresh Cuban bread from La Segunda.
Oh, perfect.
So you have a fresh sandwich. And if you've ever had like a fresh fish sandwich, something about that, eating on the salt water, it just goes hand in hand. And I would have a little cold one, let's call it cold beer with my sandwich while I'm sitting there. Call it a day. We're done by noon or 1. Come back, get refreshed, right? Get out of the sun for a bit. And I think I would either plan my evening with, either going to a sports event, because you got to check that calendar, going to a concert or a show, or if there was nothing available, because maybe you're visiting, I think I would go to Waterstreet like we discussed, and I think I would go with 0 plans. And the plan would be to pop into the Pearl or Boulan or any of these really nice restaurants and just make a date of it with no plans. I mean, worst case scenario, you can fall back on something like the Columbia Cafe if you can't get a seat at the bar to eat. But I'll tell you, my wife and I did that and it was special. I mean, we just had 0 plans and we probably hit 8 or 9 different places. Nice. And you'll always see Ric Flair down here if you want a celebrity sighting, because he's almost always at the Pearl, which was kind of funny. But people watching, great time. And I think that would wrap up your day because you could be done by sunset or you could go all the way into the late evening. So it's really your choice.
Perfect.
What we shared with you today was just the tip of the iceberg of the endless things to do in Tampa Bay. I strongly suggest checking out Kristen's book for the full list. And this is not just for visitors. Locals, I'm telling you, there are things in here that you have not experienced. And living in Tampa is all about getting out and enjoying everything the area has to offer. Thinking of moving? Why not turn that thought into action? Come down for a visit, walk along the Bayshore Boulevard, enjoy our Riverwalk in downtown, and soak in the vibrant life here. You might come as a visitor, but you're gonna wanna stay as a local, and I can help with that. Reach out to my team and we would love to be your Tampa real estate resource. Visit my channel for more, and until that next video, I'll catch you later.